Alright, let's go and take a look at the review for chapter 9. In the first question, we're going to use Pythagorean theorem, which has a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now, a and b can be either of these two sides, but c is always across from the right angle, so we're going to say that this side is c. We can say that a is 5 and b is 12, and we'll just plug it in. So 5 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. So 5 squared is 25, 12 squared is 144, equals c squared. 25 plus 144 is 169, and this is equal to c squared. And then if we took the square root of c squared, we would get c, and if we take the square root of 169, we get 13. So 13 is the side of c. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with the next question. Okay, we can say that this is a, this is b, and this is c. So in a squared plus b squared plus equals c squared, we can say 29 squared plus 19 squared equals 29 squared, which is c squared. Okay, so 29 squared is 29 times 29, which is 841, plus 19 squared, which is 361, equals 29 squared, which is 841 again. Okay, 841 plus 361 is 1202, and 1202 is greater than 841. So we'll say that this is an acute triangle, right? So when c squared value is less than the a squared plus b squared value, it's an acute triangle. Okay, if this number was greater than this number, it'd be an obtuse triangle, and if this number is equal to this number, it's a right triangle. So we're going to use that same logic to do this next question also. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We can say that this is a, this is b, and this is c. Okay, it looks like the right angle would be there, so that's why I put c there, if it was the right triangle, right? So we'll take a look if it is or not. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, a is 8, so 8 squared, plus b is 14, so plus 14 squared, equals c, which we think is our c if it's a right triangle, is going to be 16 squared. Okay, so 8 squared is 64, 14 squared is 196, and equals 16 squared, and 16 squared is 256. Okay, so 64 plus 196 is 260, and 260 is greater than 256. So because the a squared plus b squared value is greater than the c squared value, we're going to say that this is an acute triangle. Okay, if they were equal, it'd be a right triangle, and if the c squared value was greater than the a squared plus b squared value, it'd be an obtuse triangle. All right, so in the next one, we have a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle. Okay, a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle says that the sides of our 45, 45, 90 degree triangle is going to be a, and the side opposite this one would be a as well. Okay, and then the side opposite the right angle is going to be a root 2. So they say that BC, which is this side right here, is 12 root 2. Okay, and we know that a is 12 root 2. A is 12 root 2. Okay, so if a is 12 root 2 there, then a is also 12 root 2 here. Okay, and if a is 12 root 2 here, then a root 2 makes 12 root 2 for the a, and then root 2 from that part. Okay, so root 2 times root 2 is root 4. So we have 12 times root 4. Root 4 is 2, so 12 times 2, and 12 times 2 is 24. So this side is 24. The next question, just like this question, so we're going to use the same logic. Because they say that one side is 24 root 2 and the other side is 24 root 2. So if we know that the sides are the same, then they have to be 45, 45, 90-degree triangle if the sides are the same. And that's what they tell us, right? So AC, which is this side, is 24 root 2. And BC, which is this side, is 24 root 2. And what they're asking for is to find AB, which would be this side, okay? And so in a 45, 45, 90-degree triangle, we know that the side opposite the 45-degree angle is A. We know that the side opposite this 45-degree angle is A. And we know that the side opposite the right angle is A root 2. So if A is 24 root 2, based on what they told us, we're going to plug that in. Okay, so 24 root 2 is A. And then we have this root 2, so we're going to put another root 2 right there. Okay, so 24 root 4, because 2 times 2 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. And 24 times 2 is 48. So this side AB is 48. Okay, one more time. We're going to do the same thing with a 45, 45, 90-degree triangle. Where they say that AC is X, they say that BC is also X. Okay, and they say that AB is 12 root 2. Okay, we know that this is a 45, 45, 90-degree triangle because the sides are the same. Okay, X and X. So we'll say a 45 here and 45 here. Okay, so if they're saying in a 45, 45, 90-degree triangle that this sides across from our 45-degree angles are A, so we'll put A and A there, and the side opposite the right angle is A root 2. So if we look at this part, root 2 and root 2 match up, so we're going to look at just the numbers in front of the root 2 signs, and we have that 12 is A. So A is 12, right? So A root 2 is 12 root 2. And so if A is 12, this X on this side is 12, and the X on this side is 12. So we're going to say that X equals 12. Okay, in the diagram, we have a 30, 60, 90-degree triangle. So the side opposite the 30-degree angle is A. The side opposite the 60-degree angle is A root 3. And the side opposite the right angle is 2A. All right, so in the description, they say that BC, which is this side, is 9. Okay, so they're telling us that our A is 9. Okay, so in our A root 3 side, we'll have 9 root 3 because A is 9. And then here, 2 times 9 is 18. Okay, so A is 9, so 2 times 9. All right, same thing here. We have another 30, 60, 90-degree triangle. So the side opposite the 30-degree side is A. The side opposite the 60-degree side is A root 3. The side opposite the right angle is 2A. Okay, they say that AB, which is this side right here, is 12. Okay, so 2A equals 12 is what they're telling us. So if 2A equals 12, then if we divide both sides by 2, we got A equals 6. Okay, so A is 6. So if A is 6, it's going to be 6 here. And if A is 6, we're going to put a 6 here. And it's going to be 6 root 3. Okay, that's a 3. All right, and same idea in this next question. We have another 30, 60, 90-degree triangle. And we know that the side opposite our 60-degree side is A root 3. The side opposite our 30-degree side is A. And the side opposite our right angle is 2A. Okay, they say that the AC side, which is right here, is 12 root 3. Okay, so if we have the root 3, then the A is just going to be whatever number is in front of the root 3, right? Because the root 3's match up. So A is 12. So we're going to put a 12 for this side, and 2 times A would make 2 times 12, and 2 times 12 is 24. Okay, and this question asks us to find the geometric mean. And so we have a formula that says A over X equals X over B. And A is the first number and B is the second number. So we'll say 4 over X equals X over 8. So X squared, X times X is X squared. 4 times 8 is 32. And taking the square root of both sides, we get X equals 5.66. So if you wanted to round up even more, you can say like 5.7, but I'll just say 5.66. Okay. All right, now let's take a look at this next question. We notice there's 3 triangles in here, right? A small triangle, a medium triangle, and a large triangle. So we're going to fill in this table. Okay, so there's 3 triangles, a small triangle, a medium triangle, and a large triangle. Every triangle has a small side, a medium side, and a large side. Every triangle will have that. Okay, so every triangle has a small side, a medium side, and a large side. Small side, medium side, large side. So every triangle has all 3 of those. In the small triangle, we see that the small side is 8. Okay, we see that the hypotenuse, or the largest side, is 10. Okay, the largest side is always across from the right angle. In the medium triangle, which is this one, they don't tell us anything, right? They don't tell us this. They really don't tell us this. And they don't tell us that either. So we'll skip that one. In the large triangle, which is this whole triangle, they say that the small side is 10. And they say that this large side, which is going to be across from the right angle, the largest side is z. Okay, so we're going to set up a proportion as 8 is to 10, as 10 is to z. Okay, so 8z equals 100. So dividing both sides by 8, we get z equals 100 divided by 8, which is 12.5. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the next page. Okay. I'm going to skip this question because we just looked at something similar. Let's look at this question. We know we're talking about this angle right here, right? And I always like to tell you guys where the hypotenuse is first. So across from the right angle is your h side. In this case, they don't tell us what our h side is, so we can just leave it alone. But the opposite side is the long straight arrow straight away from our angle. So the opposite side is x. And the adjacent side, which means next to, is right next to our angle on the straight side. Okay, not the diagonal side. The diagonal is always h. Okay, but the straight side next to it is going to be your a. So out of the 3 trig functions that we have, so ka, toa, right? Which one deals with o and a? We're going to use that one. So tangent equals opposite over adjacent. So tangent of 19 equals x over 11. So if we multiply 11 onto both sides, we'll have 11 tangent of 19 equals x, because these 11s cancel out. To put this in a calculator, you'll put 19 in the calculator, then you'll press tangent, and then you'll multiply whatever you get there times 11. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the answer. Okay, 3.79 equals x. Right, let's go ahead and do the same thing with this one. We know the right angle across from that is always your h. We know that the side next to it, the straight side with that's next to our angle, is your a, and the side that's across with the long straight arrow is your opposite side. Okay, so again, o and a is what we're given. We're not given our h, so we're not going to worry about that. Out of all the trig functions that we have, tangent deals with o and a, so we're going to say that the tangent of 35 equals opposite, which is 4, over the adjacent, which is x. Okay, so if we multiply x to the other side, we'll have x tangent of 35 equals 4. And then to get x by itself, we got to divide by tangent of 35. Okay, so x equals 4 divided by tangent of 35. What you're going to do is you're going to put 4 in a calculator. You're going to press the division sign. You're going to put 35 in a calculator. You're going to press tangent. It's going to give you some different number, but then you're going to press equals. And the number that you should get after you do all that is 5.71. Okay, so 5.71. Right, so these two questions dealt with tangent. The next one is not going to deal with tangent. Okay, so we got to solve for x and y in this one. Knowing that our angle is this one right here, okay, that we're looking at. The adjacent side is the one that's next to it, the straight side that's right next to it, and that's your adjacent side. The h side is the one across from the right angle. So this is your h side, your hypotenuse side, and the opposite side is the one that's a long straight arrow straight away from your angle, and that's your opposite side. Okay, so if we were to solve for y first, because we want to, what would we use? O and h. Okay, which of these uses O and h? This one does, right? So sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So let's go ahead and do that. So sine of 57 equals opposite, which is y, over the hypotenuse, which is 32. Okay, to solve for y, we got to multiply 32 to the other side. Okay, and we'll get 32 sine of 57 equals y. Okay, now again, just like we were doing before, putting 57 in a calculator, pressing sine, and then multiplying that by 32, what you're gonna get is 26.8. Okay, 26.8 is equal to y. Okay, now we can solve for x because that's what's left. We know that x is our adjacent side, and we're given the hypotenuse side. So which of our three trig functions that we learned so far deals with a and h? That one, right? So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine of 57 equals the adjacent, which is x, over the hypotenuse, which is 32. Okay, multiplying 32 to the other side, we get 32 cosine of 57 equals x. And we have to put 57 in the calculator. Then we press cosine, we'll get some number. Then we multiply that by 32, and we would get 17.43. Okay, we got to do the same thing with this one. Okay, the hypotenuse is across from the right angle, so this is your h. The opposite is the side across from your angle, so that's your O. And the adjacent side is the side that's next to your angle, the straight side that's right next to your angle. Okay, so if we were to solve for x, right? X is your opposite side and 7 is your adjacent side. So which one deals with O and A? That one. So tangent of 33, is equal to your opposite side, which is x, over your adjacent side, which is 7. Okay, so to solve this, we got to multiply 7 to the other side. We get 7 tangent of 33 equals x. Okay, so 33, put that in a calculator, press tangent, then multiply by 7. You get 4.55 equals x. Okay, so that's the first part. We also need to solve for y, which is your hypotenuse. Okay, so out of all the trig functions that were given, right, we have an adjacent which is given and a h that we're trying to solve for. So out of all the three trig functions, which one deals with an a and an h? That one. Okay, so we're going to say cosine of 33 equals adjacent, which is going to be 7, over hypotenuse, which is what? Okay, to solve this, we got to multiply y to the other side. We'll get y cosine of 33 equals 7. And then we got to divide by cosine of 33 to get y by itself. Okay, so y equals 8.35. This one is a lot like this one, so let's go ahead and just take a look at this one, and this one would be a lot like this one also, so we'll just look at this one. Right, so we have three triangles: a small triangle, a medium triangle, and a large triangle. Okay, in the small triangle we have a small side, medium side, large side. Okay, in the small triangle, which is this one, the small side is 1. Okay, the medium side is x. They don't tell us what the large side is, right? The large side is across from the right angle. They don't tell us what that is. Okay, in the medium triangle, they say the small side is x, and the medium side is 9. They don't tell us anything else for this medium triangle. They don't tell us what the hypotenuse is across from the right angle. They don't tell us that side. And then for the large triangle, all they tell us is that the large side would be 9 plus 1, which is 10. So that's all they tell us. So the only things that line up are these right here, right? So we're going to use 1 is to x as x is to 9. Okay, and so x squared equals 9. If we take the square root of both sides, we'll get x equals square root of 9 is 3. Okay, you can use the same method to this one. We're going to skip this one. This one, they're asking what is the elevation right here. So how far is this off the ground, or how far is this off of where you started? Okay, so because this is what we're trying to find, that is the opposite side to what we're looking for. Okay, opposite side of the angle that we have, and then the adjacent side is 86. Okay, because that's the straight side that's right next to our angle, and the hypotenuse would be this one, but we are not worried about that because they don't tell us what that is. So out of all the 3 trig functions that we have, which one gives us an O and an A? That would be tangent. So we're going to use tangent of our angle, which is 10, equals the opposite, which is x, over A, which is 86. So multiply 86 to both sides. You'll get 86 tangent of 10 equals x. Solve this by putting it in a calculator, and you'll get 15.2 equals x. Okay. To write sine 33 in terms of cosine, you're going to take cosine and you're going to do 90 minus the number they give you, which is going to be cosine of 57, right? Because 90 minus 33 is 57. Okay, same thing with writing cosine into sine. Let's take sine. Let's do 90 minus 10, because that's the number they give us. And that would be sine of 80. Okay, in the next questions, we're going to use a calculator, because we can't do it in our heads, to solve for the angle that we need. Okay, so sine W equals 0.79. To solve this, we're going to say W equals sine to the negative 1 of 0.79. Okay, and then put this in a calculator. It'll give you 52.2. Okay, same thing with this one. It would be W equals cosine to the negative 1 of 0.53. And this, putting that in your calculator, we get 58. And then do this one, W equals tangent to the negative 1 of 3.52, and you would get 74.1. All right, let's take a look at the last couple of questions that we have. All right, so if we wanted to find out what this side is right here, and we wanted to use this angle, for example, we would actually start by finding the measure of this angle, right? So according to this angle, this is the right angle, so according to that angle, that's your h. According to this angle, that's your opposite side, and that's your adjacent side. Okay, so we're given an O and an H, which means we're going to use sine. So sine, we'll just say sine of H because that's that angle we're looking at right there. And it's going to be O, which is 11 over opposite over hypotenuse, which is 11 over 21. Okay, just like we did in the last couple of questions, we're going to look at this question and say that H is equal to sine to the negative 1 of 11 over 21, which if you put 11 divided by 21 in a calculator, you'll get 0.52. So we're going to take this because it's kind of hard to put a fraction in the calculator. We'll just use that. Okay, so it's going to give us something that says H equals 31. I think it says 31.6, but we'll just use 31. round it differently right here. But you could use 31.6. I'm just trying to show it. Okay, so then since we found this side of 31, we can go ahead and try to figure out what the adjacent angle is, or the adjacent side is to that. So we know that A is here, and we're given H, so we can use cosine of 31 and say that it's going to be A over H, which is 21. Okay, multiplying 21 to both sides, we get 21 cosine of 31 equals A, and then if we put that in a calculator, we get 18 equals X. Okay, so this side, or 18 equals A, and then this side is 18. Okay, last thing we need to do is figure out how many degrees are here in this angle G. So if we know that 180 degrees are in a triangle, we're going to subtract 90. We're also going to subtract 31, and we're going to be left with 59. So angle G equals 59 degrees. All right, let's do the same thing here. We'll say that this is the angle that we're looking at. According to that angle, this is the opposite side. This is the adjacent side, and right across the right angle is your H side. Okay, so if we're trying to solve for y, we know that that's the opposite, which is O, and we know that 11 is given, so that's your H. So we'll use sine, and we'll say sine of 59 equals O, which is y. Okay, sine, which is opposite, which is y, and H, which is 11. So multiply 11 to both sides. We get 11 sine of 59 equals y. And then putting that in your calculator, you would get 9.4 equals y. Okay, and then let's go ahead and find x also. So x is your adjacent side, and h is 11 is your hypotenuse. So cosine uses a and h. So let's use cosine of 59 equals a, which is x, over h, which is 11. Multiplying 11 to both sides, we get 11 cosine of 59 equals x. And if you put 11 cosine of 59 in a calculator, you get 5.7 equals x. Okay, the last thing we need to do is figure out how much angle measures here. So if we know there's 180 degrees in a triangle, we can subtract 59 and 90 because of the right angle that's right there, and we're left with 31. So angle H is 31. Okay, this question is just like this question, so we're going to go ahead and skip to this question. So cosine of your angle is 7 over 10. So if this is the angle that we're looking at, and cosine is A over H, right? The adjacent side would be that one. So we're going to say that this side is 7. The opposite side is this one. They don't tell us that, so we'll just call it O for right now. If we said that the right angle is here, then the hypotenuse is 10. Okay. Okay, to find out what goes here, you could use the Pythagorean theorem, or you could say that the sine of O, like this side, over 10 and solve for it and get it that way. Just so we've seen Pythagorean theorem one time, I might as well show you guys the other method in this question, but let's just use a squared plus b squared equals c squared right here. So a we can say is 7 squared plus b, we don't know what that is. It's just O for right now, so it's like we don't know. And so equals 10 squared. So 7 squared is 49 plus b squared equals 100. And so if we subtract 49 to that side, we get b squared equals 51. Taking the square root of both sides, we get b equals square root of 51. And the square root of 51 is 7.1. Okay, so this side that we called the opposite side is going to be 7.1. Okay, so sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So if we're talking about the sine of this angle, we're going to say sine of our angle equals O, which is 7.1, over H, which is 10. Okay, we can also solve for tangent, and tangent is O over A. So again, this was your A side, this was your H side. So So over A says tangent over angle is O, which is 7.1, opposite, which is 7.1, over the adjacent, which is 7. And then we got an answer. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the last question. Okay, so in this question, same idea. We have a triangle that we make look like this, and we're saying that this angle that we're looking at has a sine of 9 over 10. So sine we know is opposite over hypotenuse, so the opposite side is 9, and the hypotenuse, which is across from the right angle, is 10. Okay, so we need to figure out what is, so just so you guys know, that's a 9, not an A, and then this side is A. So we're trying to figure out first what is A in order to find out the rest of these ones. Okay, so since we're trying to solve for A, we know that H is 10, and we're trying to solve for A, so cosine uses that. So cosine of our angle I believe it's easier to use the Pythagorean theorem, so might as well just teach you guys that way, the same way we did right here. Okay, so A squared plus B squared equals C squared. A squared, we do not know what that is. B squared is 9 squared equals C squared is 100. Or 10 squared, which is 100, right? So, like, we'll just say it's 100 because 10 squared, and I'll just put that in the next step. So A squared plus 81 equals 100. So A squared equals 19. Taking the square root of both sides, we get A equals 4.4. Okay, so this side that we were missing is 4.4. Okay. So cosine of your angle that you were looking at is going to be the adjacent side, which is 4.4, over the hypotenuse side, which is 10. Okay, so adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, tangent is O over A. So O is 9, and A is 4.4. And that is it.